The wedding had ended late into the night. Guests were still scattered around the courtyard, talking, laughing and eating sweets, but the bride and groom had finally been guided to their chamber. Rihan's heart was pounding so loudly he could hear it in his ears as he stepped inside. The room was transformed into a dream. The bed was draped in silken sheets, embroidered with golden threads that caught the glow of the oil lamps flickering on every wall. Strings of jasmine and roses hung like soft curtains, filling the air with a fragrance so thick it almost felt like another presence in the room. Candles stood tall in brass holders, their flames bending gently whenever the night breeze slipped in through the window. Somewhere in the silence, a flute's faint echo carried from the distant celebrations, but inside the room there was only stillness. On the bed beneath a heavy red veil sat Halima. Her hands rested nervously in her lap, covered in deep crimson henna patterns curling up to her wrists. Golden bangles chimed softly whenever her fingers trembled. The jewels on her forehead glimmered under the lamplight, but her eyes, hidden behind the veil, waited, lowered, shy and uncertain. Rihan paused at the doorway, his breath caught in his throat. For months he had dreamed of this night, imagining what it would be like to finally sit beside the woman chosen for him, the woman who would share his life. Now that moment had arrived, he felt both terrified and overjoyed, like a child stepping into a world too big for him. Slowly, with hesitant steps, he crossed the room. Each step felt like eternity. The air seemed heavier, filled with the scent of roses, the heat of lamps, the pulse of his own heartbeat. When he finally reached the bed, he sat down carefully, not too close, afraid to disturb the fragile beauty of the moment. His hand reached for the edge of her veil. The thin fabric rustled as he lifted it away. For the first time he saw her face illuminated in the soft glow. Halima's eyes, wide and dark, flickered up to meet his, then darted away. Her cheeks glowed with the blush of shyness. For a moment neither spoke. The silence itself was sacred. Rihan smiled, nervous, and whispered, "You are more beautiful than I ever dreamed." His voice cracked with emotion. Halima bit her lip, a tiny smile breaking through, her eyes glistening as if she too was overwhelmed by the reality of this union. Minutes passed as they spoke in hushed tones. They shared hopes for the future, children, a home filled with laughter, journeys together. Rihan told her stories of his childhood, of climbing mango trees, of sneaking into the river to swim when he was supposed to be studying. Halima laughed, covering her mouth with her hand, her bangles clinking like bells. That sound, her laughter, felt to Rihan like the most precious melody in the world. Outside, the night grew deeper. The village grew quieter as the last of the wedding songs faded into silence. Inside, the two souls, bound in sacred vows, began to forget the world beyond those four walls. For them, the universe had shrunk to the size of that room. And then, at the height of this fragile happiness, fate crept in. From the shadowed corner near the wardrobe, a movement stirred. At first it was so slight Rihan thought it was a trick of the flickering candlelight. But then he saw it, something long, dark, and glistening sliding across the floor. A snake. Its scales caught the lamplight as it slithered closer, its tongue darting out, tasting the air heavy with flowers and human warmth. Rihan's body froze, his heart skipped, he whispered sharply, "Don't move." Halima's laughter died instantly. She followed his eyes and saw the black serpent approaching, its head raised, its body curling with quiet menace. Her hand clutched his tightly, her henna'd fingers digging into his palm. Rihan leapt up looking for anything, a stick, a shoe, even a blanket, to strike it away. But in that single heartbeat of hesitation, the snake struck. It darted forward with terrifying speed and sank its fangs into Halima's hand where her bangles chimed. Her scream shattered the sacred silence of the night,